Well, every week we were assigned a certain article or the explanation of the article, and we had to go home and memorize that. And then when we got to confirmation, we were given a blank sheet of paper, and we had to basically recite all that and write it all out on the paper, so it would be quite lengthy. And then after that, I erased it from my memory, I think, because it was just a lot of cramming all that information in to get there to write it out quickly before you would forget. And that was my memory.
Actually, I grew up in the Fertile Lutheran Church. My whole life I went, through high school I went there. Anyway, about catechism, we went every Saturday morning. I think it was a couple hours, I don't remember. Had a strict pastor. We had to learn all the catechism and what does this mean? And we stood up in front of the church and had to recite. Learning was easy for me, I could memorize easy, but I had a couple cousins it was harder for, and of course you think you're whispering, but you're telling them every word. But it was a good time. We had to learn Bible verses, all the songs, and that's why it's easy for me, I guess.
The Small Catechism was part of our teachings, but it was never a memorization tool. We read it, we learned about it, we kind of learned about the history of it, and it was just a tool in the learning of our confirmation class.
This is most certainly true. These are familiar words for those who grew up in the Lutheran Church and had to memorize Luther's Small Catechism as part of the requirements for confirmation class. If you didn't grow up Lutheran, or if you didn't have to memorize the Small Catechism, you may have wondered where those words come from, and why some people react to them like an inside joke that you are not in on. The Small Catechism was written by Martin Luther, one of the principal people in the Protestant Reformation, and the person after whom the Lutheran Church gets its name. In 1529, Luther wrote what is now known as the Large Catechism. This book-length work documents the basic tenets of the Christian faith and was meant to be used by pastors as a teaching guide for their congregations. That same year, Luther created a pamphlet-length synopsis of the Catechism. This Small Catechism was meant to be used in the family home and in schools to reinforce what was taught by the Church. Luther believed that it was important to go beyond rote memorization and to truly understand what was being taught. To do that, he used a question and answer format, imagining a child hearing one of the 10 Commandments or a petition of the Lord's Prayer and asking, "What does this mean?" and "When does this happen?" The brief answers to those questions are simple and to the point. You don't have to have a theology degree or know Greek or Latin to understand these basic concepts. We can easily picture a family sitting around the dinner table or fireside hearth at the end of the day using the Small Catechism to begin a conversation of faith and life. Luther begins his Small Catechism by looking at the 10 Commandments, the laws that were given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. Many scholars believe the 10 Commandments were the first recorded religious laws ever written. They became the foundation of religious life in Israel for thousands of years, and remain so for Jews and Christians to this day. If you've ever seen a decorative plaque listing the 10 Commandments, you might have noticed that they are numbered differently than in the Small Catechism. Most Protestant and Orthodox Christians have the first commandment read, "You shall have no other gods." And the second commandment is then, "You shall not create any graven images or idols." The list of 10 then concludes with just one commandment against coveting what is your neighbor's. Roman Catholics, on the other hand, follow the numbering of St. Augustine, who combined the first commandments, "You shall have no other gods," and "You shall not make any graven images," into one commandment. The final commandment, about coveting what your neighbor has, is then broken into 2 separate commandments to make 10. Having been influenced by his Catholic upbringing and the writing of St. Augustine, Martin Luther followed this convention when he wrote both the Large and the Small Catechism. For Luther, Everything in the Ten Commandments flows from an understanding of the first commandment: "You shall have no other gods." When asked, "What does this mean?" the answer is, we are to fear, love, and trust God above all things. In Luther's understanding, this first commandment stands as the foundation of all the others. Commandments 2 through 10 flesh out what it means in daily community life to have no other gods. That's why the explanation to each of these commandments begins with the phrase, "We are to fear and love God so that we do not curse, swear, or deceive using God's name. We are to fear and love God so that we keep God's words holy. We are to fear and love God so that we do not despise or anger our parents, so that we do not endanger or harm the lives of our neighbor, so that we lead pure and decent lives. We are to fear and love God so that we do not take our neighbor's money or property, so that we do not tell lies about our neighbor, so that we do not scheme to take what belongs to our neighbor." Luther also takes a page from the Gospels where Jesus actually fortifies the original commandments beyond their literal meaning. In the same way that Jesus expands the commandment about adultery to include even looking at someone with lust in our hearts, Luther focuses on the spirit of the law, not just the letter. So the command to honor your father and mother also includes the prescription to honor, serve, obey, and respect others in authority, as well as mother and father. Do not murder is about more than killing someone. It's a prohibition against even endangering or harming others. You shall not steal swells to include the expectation that we actually help others to improve and protect their property and income. Luther's explanation of the Ten Commandments highlights the two basic relationships that inform and influence the Christian life. First is the relationship we have with the triune God, our Creator, our Redeemer, and the one who makes us holy. Second is the relationship we have with our neighbors. The manner in which we treat each other is a direct reflection of the relationship we have with God. These primary relationships will continue to play a major role in the Small Catechism as Luther unpacks the meanings behind the Apostles' Creed, the Lord's Prayer, the sacraments of baptism and Holy Communion. This is most certainly true.